Hello, everyone, and welcome to Big Sam's Long Balls podcast with me, Dan. Now, I hope you've had a fantastic weekend. It is Monday today. It is the morning of the big game tonight. Manchester United host Liverpool. Although we don't obviously know for sure if the game is going to go ahead. Obviously, there are planned protests with the Glazers out tonight. So it does look quite likely that the game could be called off. Again, this could cause further problems down the line in terms of either rescheduling for both teams. Jurgen Klopp has come out and said, look, if the game gets called off, we want all 3 points. I know that's a lot of people have looked at that a little bit mockingly at Jurgen Klopp, but I get it, not just because he's a Liverpool manager, but this doesn't really have anything to do with us. This happened 2 seasons ago as well, where we had to cancel a game, caused so many problems. So actually, I do think if the game goes ahead and if fans manage to invade the stadium like they did 2 seasons ago, then that's on Manchester United. And I'll be more than happy to take the 3 points. So it is a big day today for both teams. It is a huge, huge game. Obviously, for both teams, it always is anyway. But I think in particular, right now, both teams need a win for slightly different reasons. Obviously, Manchester United is kicking off their new era under Eric Ten Hag. It couldn't have been any worse. They've lost both games at home to Brighton, away to Brentford. Deservedly so. They were battered from pillar to post in both games, really. Whereas Liverpool, they haven't had quite as a poor a start of the season, but they went away at Craven Cottage, first game of the season. They got bullied off the park by Fulham, managed to escape really with a 2-2 draw. Could have easily have actually won that game with some of the chances they had. Then obviously the 1-1 draw at home to Crystal Palace, which you look at in a negative light because it was a draw and Palace played well. But actually, when you really analyse the game, Liverpool played some really good football, played at least half an hour, if not a little bit more, just with 10 men. So a bit of optimism, I suppose, a little bit more optimism if you're a Liverpool fan than you would be as a Manchester United fan. But both teams certainly need to win today. Now, I've made this video because I wanted to make a couple of videos today talking about some of the games over the weekends because we had some absolute thrillers, didn't we? Obviously, Leeds humiliating Chelsea yesterday, an incredible performance, what job Jesse Marsch is doing there. And then arguably, potentially already a contender for game of the season. Newcastle United 3, Manchester City 3. Completely forgot how to say Manchester City then. But what a game that was. But anyway, this video is about Liverpool. I will talk about those games a little bit later on today. So do keep an eye out for some of those videos. That would be great. I wanted to talk about Jurgen Klopp and some of the comments that he made in a press conference, I believe, yesterday. I would like to do a video talking about the game tonight and the tactics that potentially both teams could implement. But actually, as a Liverpool fan, there are some real frustrations here. And those frustrations certainly are in the transfer market. Now, Liverpool don't seem to want to be buying a midfielder. For the life of me, I can't understand why. I know that we've got bodies in the middle of the park, but A, half of them are always injured, and B, they're not good enough. Cut down to it, black and white, not good enough. Players like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, we're asking him to remain fit constantly. This is a huge problem for him. You look at his career, well, just his whole career really at Liverpool and Arsenal, potentially not really including sort of at Southampton. But you look at that and you go, he's always had injury problems. Always had injury problems. This is nothing new. And then when he is fit, he doesn't make it into the Liverpool team. Naby Keita's another one with niggling injuries. Curtis Jones is another one who's picking up more and more injuries and arguably isn't really good enough. I know he's still at a very young age, but he's not at the level. He certainly isn't at the level yet where you would go, yeah, he's a bona fide starter for Liverpool. So there are problems. Obviously, Thiago, we all know about injury problems. He's a luxury player, yada, yada, yada. I don't really understand why Liverpool aren't going into the market right now. We keep hearing it's about the right player, and this fan base is incredibly split. I don't really enjoy being in this fan base at the moment. I must admit, it feels awful. It feels incredibly toxic because if you criticize Jurgen Klopp, my God, the backlash that you receive. If you criticize FSG, you were told that you were not a real fan, and I think it's appalling. I absolutely love Jurgen Klopp, of course I do. I'm a huge Liverpool fan. This is the greatest manager I've ever seen in my lifetime. I wasn't alive to see the brilliance of Dalglish and his teams and all of that before him. So this is the best that I've had, and I'm not a fan of being told that you just have to shut up and put up with what you're seeing. If I see a game, I like to try and analyze football along with probably the majority of you guys do as a football fan. I'm not a professional footballer. I've never played at a professional level. I've never done coaching, but I know what I see and my opinion is valid, same as yours, even if you disagree with me. But what I sure as shit won't put up with is people telling me that I have I have no right to speak. I hear this an awful lot. I'll sort of close the Facebook notifications there. But I just got distracted on a trail of thought. But what I sure as hell won't be told is by fans. If I go, oh, I feel like Liverpool tactically did this a little bit wrong in this game, it's a case of, oh, are you better than Jurgen Klopp? And we will see that, because the reason why I've got Facebook and Twitter open is I want to read through some of the comments with you guys, and just show the real split in this fan base at the moment that is making it incredibly toxic. So anyway, let's cut to the chase. Jurgen Klopp was asked about this midfield situation, and this is what he said. We have more injuries than we would have imagined, and it would be cool to have another midfielder in, of course. Then there is also another fact, that I am not in charge of what we can spend. That is the situation. And it goes on. We get told things and then we deal with it. That is always the same. It didn't change. You could say this is why we are here, with a good understanding and a bad understanding. So the article, the headline really is, I'm not in charge of what we spend. Now, that's a little bit of a worrying comment. Do you not think? Jurgen Klopp has never criticised FSG in the slightest. And this doesn't feel like a huge criticism, but Jurgen Klopp is a very, very smart man. He knows exactly what he's saying, other than maybe, seconds after a football game where he's a little bit emotional. But in press conferences like this, he knows what to say and what not to say. This isn't his first rodeo. So for him to mention that, to slip it in at least, it just shows that maybe Jurgen Klopp is a little bit unsatisfied with FSG, and I for one understand fully. I don't get this the sheer defense that a lot of Liverpool fans seem to have for our owners. I know that they've done a lot of good things. I know that, of course I do. But at the same time, we're being outspent by the majority of teams in this Premier League, and what the defense often becomes is, well, look at how much Man United have spent. Look how much Chelsea have spent. It doesn't guarantee you success. No, but we should be spending more than teams who have just come up. We should be spending more than teams that are mid-table. Why is it a case then that if Liverpool don't spend it, but Man United have spent $1 billion, look at where they are. Yeah, and we spent nowhere near that, and look at how good we are. So imagine if FSG did back our manager a little bit more. Half of us aren't even talking about Jude Bellingham. I'm just going to drink my tea here because I'm getting livid already. I did a video the other day. It's worth checking out, by the way. A young French midfielder plays at Nice, Thuram. 21 years of age. He does the Genie Wijnaldum role perfectly, in my opinion. He can, something that we've really been lacking. And I think since Genie Wijnaldum has gone, we've seen Fabinho a little bit more exposed. Thiago's great, of course he is. He's brilliant. He helps out Fabinho when he's there. But when he's not there, you see, players like Milner, Henderson, Jones, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita, Harvey Elliott, even, they get forward more. So there's more gaps. And what's happening is Fabinho is being left isolated one-on-one so many times, or potentially two-on-one against him. And it's making him look like a really bad player. And he's not, but these players are bombing forward and they're not supporting him. Whereas when Wijnaldum was here, when Fabinho were going to sort of tackle someone, not every single time, of course, but Wijnaldum would be around, would be near there. So more often than not, Liverpool would create a two-on-one situation when a team was trying to counter on us. So that means that we could win the ball, turn it over a little bit quicker, and we're on them. That is Liverpool's biggest weakness at the moment. Our midfield, people are talking about, let's get a creative midfielder in there, let's get someone to score goals, assists. Yeah, that would be great. But my worry at the moment is that skipping through Liverpool's midfield and countering on us is so easy at the moment. I think it's a combination of the incredibly high line, but also this midfield where Fabinho is being left isolated at the moment because Henderson seems to be sort of his role seems to have changed. He's getting forward more. Trent Alexander-Arnold himself is now stepping into midfield, where I don't think it particularly suits him. And Mo Salah is staying out wide rather than getting into the box. There's some tactics that I don't necessarily understand, and that's fine. It's fine to have that opinion. And I'll mention the Anfield Wrap, a Liverpool podcast, which I'm sure you guys all know about. I don't know those guys, so this isn't me promoting them, certainly not on such a small channel. But I saw a clip from the Anfield Wrap the other day talking about the Palace game, and I don't know his name, I apologise, but I thought he made some good points. And Liverpool tactically looked a little bit chaotic. The fullbacks were bombing forward, almost playing as strikers. The midfield was all over the place. Mo Salah was staying out wide. Diaz was on the halfway line, and Nunez was just so isolated on himself for such large parts of the game. Now, I thought that was a really, really good point. Now, if you disagree with that, that's fine. 90% of those comments were, you don't know more than Klopp. You four-eyed little cunt. Who do you think you are? You think you know more than our best ever manager. It's like, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with this fan base? What is wrong with this fan base? Seriously, you cannot talk about Jurgen Klopp tactically. You cannot talk about FSG without being called a piece of shit, without being told you're not a real fan, you're a bedwetter, that you're just a bedwetter who wants shiny new exciting signings. No, okay, we just want our team to compete, and we're seeing a team with aging midfielders that are really, really struggling, that tactically we're getting caught out in so many games, and we need support. We need extra players coming in to help Jurgen Klopp and to help the players that we've currently got so that we can keep challenging for titles. I don't see FSG's model as a success. I don't see, I look at the success that we've had under Jurgen Klopp. I see it in spite of FSG. I really do. I don't see it because of them, because their approach hasn't changed in the years that they've been here. They didn't back Brendan Rodgers, and if you've ever watched any of my videos, you'll probably know full well that I'm not a huge fan of Brendan Rodgers. I don't particularly rate him. I don't really like him. It was just, when he was at Liverpool, I found him quite slimy. But at the same time, FSG never backed him. I don't feel like FSG have fully backed Jurgen Klopp. I mean, I know people go, Van Dijk, Alisson, Nunez. Let's get some context. We sell 2-3 players minimum to bring in one. That's not an approach. And these are the same fans who, by the way, want the Glazers out. When you spent $1 billion, you're spending an absolute fortune in this transfer window with some of the targets that you're going to be getting. But that's not good enough because you apparently want the Glazers to spend an extra 200 million out of their own pockets. Now, I know that the Glazers aren't particularly good, but these guys are worse, in my opinion. They are worse. And I know people will be like, oh, you're ridiculous. They are. They actually are worse. The only difference is the Glazers will be willing to spend more money. When the pressure's on them, they will go out and buy a Casemiro, which they're doing, or an Antony, or a Frankie de Jong. Man United fans might not like it, but at the end of the day, they kind of get shit done for you. FSG don't do that. They will not do it. Net spend each year is, as long as it's under 10 million, hey, way to go. We are a Europa League run club. We really are. These are the owners that you would expect for just a poor Europa League team. And the success that we've had is purely on one man, Jurgen Klopp, and obviously his coaches, and the brilliance that he's done, and the scouting network and all of this. Once this man goes, if FSG are still here, all the success goes. I guarantee you. We go back to those Europa League days, those Brendan Rodgers days, and then suddenly fans will be like, oh, actually, maybe FSG aren't that good. No, they're not. I'm not saying they're the worst owners in the world, but there is a ceiling. They are not good enough to compete with the likes of Manchester City. They're not good enough to compete with the likes of Man United, not consistently. It's only because Jurgen Klopp's brilliance and Manchester United being actually proper shite for a decade. Jurgen Klopp is the reason why Liverpool have been so successful. And for him to come out and go, yeah, I want a midfielder, but obviously I'm not in control of the spending. I just find that incredibly sad. Incredibly sad that, this guy who's won everything for us doesn't get supported. Just find it sad, man. You know, just find it really sad. I'll just click that off. Let's have a little look at some of these comments, because this should be quite, you know, entertaining or interesting. So someone's put a subtle but very clever dig at FSG. In my opinion, I think he's had enough of the scrimping when the squad is in crisis. Yes, there are budgets, etc., but there are also extraordinary emergency situations. And I think that's what he's talking about. Time for investment from the owners. We have the best manager in the world. Give him the tools to compete with Man City. A very well written comment there. I agree with a lot of what he said. I don't think the majority of us are screaming for a Jude Bellingham or for a Barella or the next Zinedine Zidane. You know, we're not asking for FSG to go out and spend 150 million on one player. But like I did a video the other day, Thuram available for 20 million euros. Look, if Jurgen Klopp doesn't want him, then Jurgen Klopp doesn't want him. That's fair enough. But there are players like that out there who can do a job, who can fit in this Liverpool team potentially more than someone like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who when fit doesn't even make the squad. Sander Berg at Sheffield United. He's only available for maximum, I believe, £15 million. Now, he might not be the most exciting signing in the world, but to come in, he can rotate in the number 6. He can also play the number 8. He looks like a player that would fit this system. He would certainly keep the ball better than some of our midfielders. So there are options out there who aren't, you know, 100 million, the echelon of European football. So it just seems a little bit daft to me. Let's carry on with a few of these comments. We needed midfield strengthening since Coutinho departed. Then when Gini departed, we never managed to replace these two players. Yeah, I'll talk more about Gini than Coutinho. I don't feel that maybe replacing Coutinho was massively important. I think there was a change in tactics and style. Obviously, it would be nice to have a player like that in midfield who could score the goals. But I think you're spot on with, you know, not replacing a player like Gini Wijnaldum. And ironically, when he was here, there'll be a lot of there'll be a lot of fans rather who perhaps heavily criticised Wijnaldum and said, I don't really know what he does. He's just running around all the time. And that's a frustrating thing. You didn't see what he did a lot of the time if you didn't see him live. If we only see him on TV and it's a limited view, he was brilliant. He was so brilliant. And I don't think it's a surprise that Fabinho was even better when he had Wijnaldum alongside him. Anyway, let's carry on with this guy's comment. Yes, we got Thiago, but he sat on the bench more than played. Today, Fabinho is our only experienced and decent midfielder. Henderson and Milner are average. I disagree with that. You know, Milner and Henderson are not average. They are aging, which he goes on to say. Of course they are. I think Jordan Henderson in particular is heavily criticised. Now, if I had to pick like a first 11 for Liverpool, neither one of those players gets in my opinion. But they both have their roles to play, so they're not average. Keita is inconsistent. You're right, mate. Just decided to jump in on the video there. So Keita is inconsistent. Yeah, of course he is. But you know, it doesn't help that, you know, injury problems, and he isn't picked an awful lot. But yeah, for a player that we spent 50 million on 5 years ago and was built up to be potentially one of the best midfielders in Europe of what we were expecting, he's definitely disappointed and he's hugely inconsistent. The rest are young talents that lack experience. Plus the injuries, we're in a midfield crisis that Klopp does not want to see. Well, again, I don't think Klopp doesn't want to see it. I think he's clearly spoken about it. But either the money isn't there or there's just a refusal, a reluctance to go and spend that money. Let's have a look at this one, because this one looks like it'll be a different opinion, and it's important to get different opinions in these videos and podcasts, and then we'll end the video. He wants the right player. I don't get why this is so hard for people to figure out. He has a world-class team that last season made the final of every competition they played in. I'll just do that as it's seen as it's block capitals. You don't just say, oh, yup, that guy will do. And guess what? The right players, unless they're looking to move on or have been made available by their own teams, cost a fortune. That's how this business works. All of you love the FSG shots while ignoring that they've won the club every major trophy since taking over, are improving and expanding the ground, have signed a massive distribution deal with Nike, and locked down one of the best managers in the world long term. Give your heads a shake. We'll get into that. it's absolutely fine to have different opinions, and a lot of what this guy says is right. We have locked down one of the best managers in world football for the next few years. We've got a big deal with Nike. The scouting situation has been fantastic for the last 5 or 6 years. So everything he said there is acceptable. But it's the arrogance. You can literally feel the arrogance, can't you, with a comment like this? It's this obsession with it's the right players. It's the right players. You have to wait. Now, I said in a video the other day that I made. I think it was a video where I was talking about Liverpool signing Thuram, or a player that I felt like Liverpool should be going for at least. And I mentioned the Van Dijk deal that gets thrown in a lot. Jamie Carragher, I think, is guilty for this as well. Hugely, he brings this up all the time. Liverpool, they're brilliant in the transfer market. They wait. Well, I'm not going to go into it again because I did this the other day. Fucking actually add some context to that. We could have had Van Dijk the summer of 2017. We didn't because we ballsed it up and made it all public, and Southampton got pissed off. So we lost out on him, and we had to wait until January to get him. Now, people don't like to talk about that because once we got Van Dijk, he ended up becoming the best defender in world football. We got to multiple Champions League finals, winning one. We've had multiple Premier League title races, winning one. If maybe we had Van Dijk at the beginning of that season, Liverpool might have been able to challenge Manchester City for the title. Equally, other teams like a Manchester City could have come and got him, and they wanted him. And it was only because Van Dijk himself eagerly wanted to come to Liverpool that he rejected Manchester City and the likes of Chelsea, and he was happy to wait. It doesn't happen every single time. It does not happen. There could be another situation where Man City come in for a Van Dijk, back then, and go, oh, well, obviously we'll offer you even more money. We'll offer you this and that. And he might have gone, all right. And Southampton might have gone, okay, yeah, that's fine. So this whole talk of waiting for players in Liverpool and masters at it, it's bollocks. We could have very easily have lost out on Van Dijk. We could very easily lose out on Jude Bellingham because what happens next year? What happens next year if Jude Bellingham goes to Real Madrid or goes to Man City or goes wherever? What is the excuse from these fans then? Because I guarantee it won't be, oh, Jude Bellingham rejected Liverpool. It'd be, oh, well, maybe he wasn't the right player. Nonsense. Absolute fucking nonsense. So someone else has replied, no, all of these midfielders are past their prime and old. He needs a new top quality midfielder, player around 25 that's directly first team material, not alone those youngsters from 19. Okay, how's he responded? Could you please tell me the average age of the past, their primes midfielder? Wait, what? Did I just read that completely wrong? Anyway, he's talking about the average age of the Madrid midfielders that beat us last season. Just because someone is 30 doesn't mean they're useless. No, but are we genuinely comparing Casemiro, world class, Toni Kroos, world class, Luka Modric, arguably midfielder of this generation, to some of our midfield? That can't be the case. That cannot be the case of what he's doing. Anyway, look, these are the comments. This was just a small sample size of the difference in opinions that Liverpool fans are having at the moment. And look, that's all fine. That's what I want this podcast to be. If you have a different opinion to me, comment down below. Equally, come onto the podcast. We'll have a chat. I don't want this to be a channel of screaming and shouting like a lot of other channels seem to do that I really can't stand. But I do feel that the Liverpool need a midfielder. I think the comments from Jurgen Klopp are a little bit of a worry for him to come out and say, look, I do want another midfielder, but look, I'm not in charge of spending the money. I think FSG do need to pull the finger out. I think they do need to back this guy again for the 50 millionth time. It's not Jude Bellingham or nothing. I don't really care about Jude Bellingham at this moment in time. There are other midfielders out there who could come in and do a job and improve this Liverpool team. There are so many out there who won't break the bank. So I think there has to be a happy medium. Has to be a happy medium because this approach of it has to be only one player. I think is nonsensical and is incredibly naive, and it's just arrogance from some of these fans. We all support the same team here, so there's no need to go, I'm a better fan than you. It's just drivel. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today. It's a little bit random, I know. I wanted to talk more about some of the football that's happened over the weekend, but these comments that I saw this morning, I thought I had to make a video, get my sort of views out there. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give the video a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Comment down below some of your thoughts right now about Liverpool and FSG and our signings. Who do we need? And if you don't feel that we need any midfielders, explain why to me in the comments. I promise you, I won't have a go back. I won't sort of be an arrogant fan. I want different opinions. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Subscribe for more long balls, football chat, and I will see you very, very soon. So thank you so much for watching.